Hi, I'm Brittany. I'm a US immigrant living in Germany, and we just bought a house in the countryside. Not this house. This is our apartment right now. This is our house. And those are my chickens. Some more chickens. And my ducks are around here somewhere. We just moved their ponds, so they're not very happy. Never in my life did I think that I would settle down in one spot. I have been on the move traveling since I was 17. I never thought that I would buy a home or be able to afford a home, let alone in Germany. I never thought I'd be a person that loves the countryside and my chickens and my ducks because I ran away from the countryside. But here we are, and I'm so excited to share this chapter of my life with you. 8 years ago, definitely looked a lot different. It was a lot more hectic, that's for sure. I had just hit rock bottom. I didn't know who I was, what I was going to do. I thought I basically ruined my life. It was at the end of my 20s, and I made a lot of not so great decisions. So I just decided to sell all of my things, quit drinking, start over, and just go and figure out what I wanted to do with my life. At first, I really didn't have a plan. I just knew things needed to change and that I didn't want to be stuck anymore. So I moved in the middle of nowhere, Alaska. To be a seasonal worker so I could save up lots of money, which I did, over $10,000. I just worked, and traveled. And after the season ended, I just threw everything in a backpack and decided I was going to go on a solo world trip. And that solo trip led to Paris, where I met my now German husband on a dance floor at our hostel. After spending one day in Paris together, he invited me to Germany. And I said yes. It was supposed to only be a couple days, but it ended up being a couple weeks because I just fell in love with everything, with him and Germany and the life here and the lifestyle here. And just, I was so overwhelmed. I didn't know what to do, so I just kept traveling. I kept going on my solo trip, and it was in Thailand where I kind of buckled down and did a lot of self-reflection and decided that I was going to give it a shot. I was just going to come to Germany and see if it worked. And then it did. And now here we are, 7 years later, standing in the middle of a dusty old house knee deep in demolitions. The house is actually from like the 1950s, which isn't really old for German standards, I know, but it's old for me, and it hasn't been renovated or really fixed ever since. So there is a lot of work. It was actually used as a working farmhouse homestead. The last owner was an older lady in her 90s, and she still had like a wood oven that she used for her cooking and for her wash. It actually has like, I don't know what it's called, but it was like a washing machine that was ran by like a fire, and it's not modernized. I think the most modern thing is maybe the windows that are from the 80s. Oh, and also the bathroom tiles are 100% 80s as well. It is kind of crazy that we did choose the place that we are moving to now, because in the beginning we had no idea where we wanted to go or do, and so we just basically traveled all over Europe to find out. We had this old Volkswagen Bulli, and we would just take these trips and just travel to all the surrounding countries, all throughout Germany. We really wanted to make sure we found the right place for us. I am a very pragmatic person, so I am all about priorities and, risks and rewards and pros and cons, But honestly, when I stepped into this house and I saw the staircase, and I just knew it wasn't just a staircase, it was just, there was something about the house that I knew it was ours. And if I'm going to be honest with you, growing up I was really poor, and I would see these like movies and TV shows or friends that had like multi-leveled homes with staircases, and that was just like the dream. And I got that dream, so go me. No, but I had other potential too. Even though it's like located in town, it has a really big property and a big detached garage with like a loft where we can do workshops and hopefully community events, because that's my big dream, to have a place where all sorts of people can come and learn and grow and do workshops and just like have a community and a space to be creative. And I don't know. It's like the little stepping stone to that. So I'm really excited to build that out. And it will take some time. First, we're just going to focus on the inside of the house. The garage is not quite there yet. But hopefully I can show you the entire journey. When we looked at the house, we thought it looked in pretty good shape, and that we didn't really have to do very much. Turns out that was wildly optimistic. But we'll talk about that in the next episode. But the layout was a lot of small rooms, like rooms inside of rooms. So we tried to open it up like a little bit, not everything, but just enough so there's some sort of flow. But also we needed to keep it like heat efficient too, so we didn't want it to be too open concept as well. So we tried to balance that out. We just recently installed a big, beautiful window that looks out into the backyard, which was so, oh my gosh, it was so full of anxiety, remeasuring and remeasuring and remeasuring and worried about the transport and unloading and the installation. Oh, but it finally went through and it's gorgeous. And yes, we started the demo and we pulled down the ceilings and started ripping up floors and found all sorts of surprises. So yeah, the house is basically gutted now. Thing that you should know is we are doing this on a super tight budget, mostly by ourselves. And my husband is recovering from long COVID. That has been a struggle for the last couple years. Things are slowly but surely improving. Things are looking up, but we're having to take breaks and like really manage our energy and our time, and kind of work smarter, not harder type of thing. Thankfully, we've had a lot of help from like friends and family. They've given us a lot of support, helping hands, and a lot of worker days to get the really heavy things done. We bought the house in July, and we thought that we'd be able to get things done by fall, then winter, and then March. And now we're saying the 1st of May. Is that realistic? I don't know, but I have to keep that in my head or things just won't get done. We've been doing a lot of juggling, honestly, a lot of work, life, renovation, still trying to maintain this apartment and renovate the house and have some sort of social life and not burn out and go crazy. Yeah, it's a lot. When it comes to work, I actually do a couple things. When I was in the US, I worked in business management in tourism and restaurant sector for over 12 years. And sorry to say it, I did not want to keep doing that when I moved to Germany. So I got certified to be an English teacher and started teaching at a business school. But then the pandemic hit. And I got depressed. No, it was just really hard adjusting to life in Germany as an immigrant with a language barrier, the culture shocks, and just everything in between, basically. And so I started making videos about that. I actually was a big dream of mine to be a writer and an author and to work in movies and TV. I even went to school briefly for radio, TV, film. And it was just something I was like, this will never happen. This is a stupid dream to have. And so I just stopped doing all of those things. Thank goodness I started again because it took off, and the content creation is now basically my full-time job. Not quite full-time. I still teach part-time in Hanover at the business school, which I love teaching. Obviously, I want to do workshops. And so that's what I do now. I teach English on the side, and I help people with their social media, with building a business. And I just do content creation and show the journey of what it's like to basically rebuild your life, overcome obstacles, start over, deal with culture, just any of those things. I just hope something along the way will help people. My perspective has really changed a lot after moving to Germany. I remember when I first moved here, Germans would always ask me if I planned on living here for the rest of my life. I never understood that. Since I was 17, like I said, I've just been like moving and bopping around and traveling, and I never knew what was going to happen next. But something shifted for sure. Somewhere between the quiet Sundays and the Spazieren and the bread and the Kaffee and Kuchen and I don't know, all these small little moments in Germany just really made me fall in love with it here. And I don't know if I'll live in Germany forever, but I do know right now that I really want to build a life here. And so that's what we're doing. Even though it still feels like I'm starting over again. Like new village, new neighbors, new friends, new bakery. It also feels like, I don't know, the beginning of something more. I can explore the new region. We just moved to the Heidekreis, which is so beautiful. And I can show you all the quirks of like small town, little village life and the culture there that is just so incredible and never talked about. Yeah, and I don't know, just to show you that the progress that I make in my life, I guess. So up next is our heating system is going to be finally installed. We had some big things happen with that. I can get more into that later, but it's been a journey in itself, trust me, and we'll talk more about that in the next episode. But for now, we're preparing for the garden, as you can see, getting the heating system in, and then we move on to insulation, which is natural. Oh my gosh, thank God. It's natural, so no suits. We're going to do clay walls and basically redo the plumbing before we move in or start to think about moving in. Now that spring is arriving, I'm getting more and more excited. The little trees are starting to bloom. The flowers are coming up. I want to bring in a lot of who we are into the house. You know, just like our personality. We're a little bit different, and that's okay. You know, the garden is going to be like a mix of vegetables and herbs and flowers, and we want to grow our own food and drink coffee in the sun and make preserves and visit small towns. I don't know. Do little tours in the area. My dream for this house is for it to be like this little sanctuary. We are really big into sustainable living, as best as we can, and just like slow living. You know, it's really hard to do that perfectly, but we try. We're going to host workshops and community events, like I said, and it's just going to be this quite cozy, hopefully welcoming little space for everybody. Because I guess, I don't know, what I've learned most is nothing changes if nothing changes. And so we're starting small, we're taking one step at a time, and then another, and then another. And that's just how you build a life and, you know, I guess a home. So I hope you stick around, and I can't wait to show you more. And we're building it piece by piece with our hands and just a lot of willpower. And I don't know, I'm just really glad that you're here. So thanks for following along. I'll see you next time. Tschüss.